That's Tanya. She calling in. Hey, this is Love, Sex, and War. Welcome. I'm your host, Miss Wet Cat. And first of all, before I bring anybody else on, I would like to state that tonight this show is being sponsored by Street Noise Records. So be sure to download Loose Cannon, Pesos, and Prince Zeta, Boss at iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. First of
Um,
all, first of
hey,
all, hey.
Hey,
hey.
First of all,
We need
I
we
would
gonna
like to
send you a excuse me, T. Um, we need to get your email address because you called in and you well, you know what? Let's just continue like this. Okay. Go ahead, T.
I'll,
okay.
Okay. I'm gonna mute your mic because you got a lot of noise in your background over there.
Okay, just so everybody's just listening, I have Miss Lynn Twyman with us. How you doing, Miss Twyman?
I'm doing excellent.
Oh
How's
my God.
everyone?
I'm
right.
good.
Okay.
This is part
Okay.
this is part two of last week's topic is love you to death in relationships, whether it's husband, wife, girlfriend, or boyfriend, or whatsoever, whichever one. Love you to death was the topic, and today we are definitely reiterating all that again as part two. Miss Twyman, who I introduced you to, she is an activist of domestic violence, as well as she's the founder and CEO of the program Lasers, which stands for Leaving Abuse, Supporting Everyone, and Restoring Survivors. So, again, Miss Twyman, I'm leaving it in your hands at this moment. And
Good
can
afternoon,
you
Mr. Wyman.
Good afternoon, good evening. How's everybody?
just fine,
All
just
right.
fine. You
Wonderful.
I wanted to actually, since we did stop on the subject last week, there, I know there's a lot of different types of abuse that's
Hmm.
that's out here, whether it's child abuse or family abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. The most common abuse that's out and that's happening right now is what? Can you specify for me?
So you're right. There are different forms of abuse that takes place. When talking about domestic violence, there is the obvious physical abuse, but there's also sexual, financial, emotional, and psychological. So, to answer your question, the most common form of abuse that's out there is psychological or mental abuse.
Okay.
And it's a common form because, you know, all everything starts with a thought. So, if I can distort a person's reality, if I can lie to them, if I can get them to believe something other than the truth, what I've done is I've been able to now control them. So that's the reason why psychological mental abuse is the most common form and it's the most dangerous form. The most
Okay.
dangerous form of abuse because you don't see it coming. Often you
Right.
don't see it coming.
Exactly. So what do they mean by financial abuse then?
So financial abuse could be stealing money from a joint account. It could be taking money and using it to pay for other things other than your necessities. So let's say you have a person that gambles some money or they go and blow it on clothes. But meanwhile, you have a light bill that gets unpaid, so your lights get cut off. Um, you're facing eviction because that money has been used for other things. And also another way people commit financial abuse is is are those who have the ability to work but choose
Hmm.
not to. So you have the
Okay.
ability to work, but you do things to sabotage your ability to work. And so you're leaving the partner or the person, the spouse in the relationship with the burden of making the income because you've just decided that you're not going to work, you're not going to contribute, and there is an absolute necessity for you to do so to help meet the needs in that relationship.
Okay.
Another
Let me
way, mhm.
Go ahead.
So another way that financial abuse is committed also is preventing someone from going to work or preventing them from getting an education.
Wow. So have you ever heard anybody being abused? Because see, I understand what there's an abuse in regards to men and women, like the husband or the boyfriend or the ex-boyfriend or whatnot. But then there's also I've heard a lot of now I did have a friend of mine who was pretty much to me being abused by his own mother. But she was pretty much um she had like a few foster kids she was taking care of,
Hmm.
but she used to treat the kids so bad and treat him so bad. It used to just hurt me to my core. I didn't know who to call or who to get in contact with in regards to this. She would get mad at the kids for some reason, some odd reason. I have no idea. And she would put them down the basement and wouldn't even feed them. That's how bad it was.
Hmm.
Wow.
So when we talk about domestic violence,
Yeah.
it's not just intimate partner violence. You're right.
Right.
It does involve children and their parents or guardians.
Hmm.
Um, it can involve siblings, and it can also involve close family friends. So
Right.
I often tell people, how many times have we introduced someone that was our best friend from high school or college as uncle or auntie so and so, just because we have that brotherly or sisterly bond with them. We bring them
Yeah.
into our home. They're around our children. We let them watch our kids. Um, and then years later, we find out that auntie or uncle so and so has actually abused our children. Um, I've heard tragic stories of grandparents also abusing grandchildren,
Mm.
and you know, certain things not coming to light until many years later, when that young person grows up and is able to start putting together those memories and realizing, hey, what this thing that happened to me wasn't right. So that's the reason why when we talk about domestic violence, that word domestic pertains to the home.
Yeah.
So anything involving that home life is domestic. And we have to really take that seriously. And we have to be careful who we bring around our kids. And
True.
we also have to be careful of who we bring around even in our own personal space. Because as I mentioned earlier, psychological abuse, if I can get into your head and I can make you start thinking things that aren't true or bring down your self esteem, or make you believe that I'm somebody that I'm really not,
Mm.
um, then I've got you where I want. And when we talk about domestic abuse, it's all about power and control. You know, it's not about love in the sense that a person can feel love for another person, but if they're not treating them with the respect and consideration that they deserve, abuse. And so, as I mentioned last week, we have to really focus on the educational part of this and teach people how to behave and show them by example what is good behavior. Because at the end of the day, I can say that I love you all day long, but if I'm not showing you that I love you and I'm not treating you with that respect and with that care and protecting you from harm's way, then I'm not showing the truest example of love. What I'm showing you is power and control. So
Well,
we
how can this type of abuse be controlled? Exactly. How? I mean, because if they're already in it, they're already doing it, and they've been found um, to have this type of behavior, how can it be controlled?
In other words, how can the abusive behavior be controlled, or
Yeah.
how can it be seen as control?
How can it actually be controlled? How can I mean to me I just feel like people that can abuse you in that type of way, whether it's physically or mentally, it's a sickness to me.
Right.
You know.
That's exactly what it is. It's a it's a behavioral sickness, in
Yeah.
like the most simplest way we can put it for everybody
Hmm.
to answer, or give everyone an answer tonight. It's a behavioral sickness. And so you're right. How do you show a person they have been behaving is not right? If they're not willing to get the help
Hmm.
or the resources, become near impossible. And so that's the reason why you will have people that will stay in relationships for years that are abusive,
Ooh.
because between the abuser and the victim, no, they're not willing to admit that the relationship is unhealthy, or they could be afraid to leave.
Yeah.
They could feel, to the point where they feel like they're so unempowered, or they feel so weak that, if they were to start over again, that they would be losing so much more. And those are the unfortunate realities. So that's the reason why, with my work, with lasers, we go into the schools, we go into businesses, we go into
Hmm.
the corporations, we go
Right.
into faith institutions like the church, and we try to teach that there is a better way. And
Right.
you know it's just like you have kids that will, everybody pretty much starts off in kindergarten, right?
Right.
But the years go by, fewer and fewer people end up graduating. So everybody starts off in kindergarten, but then you have, like, maybe 75% of those
Hello?
people that will actually make
Yes,
it
caller.
to graduation, to the 12th grade.
Hello?
Yes,
And that's the
caller.
way it
Just
is
one
in
second.
relationships.
Okay. I see we
All
have
So I
right.
a
hear we have a
caller on the
caller.
line.
Yes. Caller,
Yeah.
what's your name and where you calling from?
Okay, this is Andrea, and I'm calling from Detroit.
Detroit.
Hey, Andrea
Hi, Andrea.
from Detroit.
How are you?
Good, good.
Doing well.
I was in
What-
an abusive relationship before, and as a matter of fact, someone pulled a gun to my head. He pulled a gun to my head because I was no longer with him. I was with someone else. And and my way out was to act just as crazy as he was. You know, I had to learn how to I had to
Work.
let him know that I wasn't scared of him. No matter what he wanted to do, I was willing to fight. I was willing to fight, you know? And if I had to be taken out, I just had to be taken out because I couldn't be scared. And I think our thing is with us women is we are scared. And we got to stop being scared, and we got to stand up to it. You know what I'm saying? Because one, I feel like if a man going to kill you, he's going to kill you anyway.
Well, you
So
know,
guess what?
Miss
So guess
Waycat.
what? I'm going to fight.
Miss
You know what I'm
Waycat.
saying? Because I'm not going to take it.
Mhm.
It's funny, Miss Teresa, that excuse me, Miss Waycat. We had a caller on last week's show who called in, and she said that the way she dealt with her abuser was that she started fighting him.
Right.
And some of the experts on this topic was saying that that's still a form of abuse. But I guess maybe for some people it works, Lynn, and
Mm-hmm.
others it doesn't. Is that true?
Because some men, to me, because with some men, you know what I'm saying? I believe that because of we passive and we, you know what I'm saying, and being scared of them makes them have more power over us. So I
And you
believe
know
if you
what?
act crazy just like them,
Yeah,
if
and,
you notice, men don't mess with
and
the crazy women. You know?
right, and let me
You know what
say to the caller
Agree to that.
that
Yeah.
depending on the individuals, that can be the absolute truth, like in your case. That is not uncommon. And these are the types of things that we don't want to talk about when we talk about this issue. What are the coping mechanisms? At the end of the day, it's all about survival. It's all about getting to the point where you can finally leave and break free and be happy and try to be whole again. So you do have some
Right.
victims that will fight back. And what happens is now it becomes, a full circle abusive relationship. Everybody is fighting. Everybody is there's blows that are being thrown, and words are being exchanged and different things like that. Um,
Mhm.
and again, it's a coping mechanism, and that's what people have to understand. Um, and men go through this too. You have men that face these things where they're being battered by a woman, and so they fight back verbally, they fight back physically. So it's a two-way street. At the end of the day, that's the reason why, once we realize the truth, we do have to work to get out. So if you have to fight and act crazy, then that's what you have to
Right.
do
Mhm.
until you can get to a place of safety for yourself and your children. Some people may
You know what?
disagree with that,
You're in and
but
out.
that's just the reality.
She said she can barely hear you, Lynn. Can you bring?
Yes, because you're going in and out, in and out.
Okay.
Well, what she was
Okay.
saying, caller, is that sometimes it does work for some people to fight until they can get themselves in a safe place.
Right.
But let me ask you this, caller: when you, how many times had this man abused you before you actually decided to become violent with him?
That one time.
Oh wow,
It only took that
Mm.
one time for me. You
You
know,
weren't playing.
I'm just not the type that's going to take abuse from anybody.
I
You know
feel
what
you.
I'm saying?
I feel you.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you're probably, I don't know the statistic. I guess Lynn would have to tell us that, but yeah, I could imagine that you're only one out of every 100 women that probably
Mhm.
fought back into the point where they got themselves out of an abusive relationship. Lynn, I wanted
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, Lynn, is there a such thing as a woman or a man becoming immune to domestic violence? Say like I know people that have been married 40 and 50 years that
Mhm.
are still together, and they went through the abuse part, and as they got older, it kind of calmed down. But I know of couples that are still together after 40 and 50 years that have been into these kind of relationships, and they remain together sometimes until one of them dies.
Mm. Yeah.
Can you
That
speak?
happens. Yep, that absolutely does happen. You have couples that will endure um, the dysfunctional behavior.
Hmm.
You have couples that will grow up. Sometimes they'll mature, and the behavior will completely stop. And then you have couples that tolerate and they kind of do their own thing. So that's the reason why this is such a dynamic issue, because you have so many different situations, and there really isn't, as I said last week, a one size fits all. But I think the goal should be that in talking about all this, and the different types of degrees of abuse, and
Hmm.
relationships that experience different degrees of abuse, is to remember that if a person really wants to live a happy, healthy, whole life, what does that look like? And it has to be a life free from abuse. But as the caller mentioned, part of that goes back to fear. Why do we tolerate, unhealthy? Why do we tolerate unhealthy living, unhealthy eating, unhealthy habits? Why do we tolerate anything that's unhealthy? And so
Well,
that's the
I-
question
you
that
know,
we have to ask
that's a good
ourselves.
question.
Right. It is.
That's a real good question. But I know, being a man growing up in an abusive household, from a child, it did the exact opposite to me. It seems that I never wanted to put my hand on women, but
Teresa invited
I
me.
have
She
a real
said it's
problem
every because she been
with.
telling me about it, but it's a
Hello.
live radio. without
I
and
hear
it's
some
everywhere, and they would be.
Glenn.
I feel like, have you ever heard of a man when he around other men, he said, you know what? One thing about that girl, she crazy as ATLL. You know what I'm saying? Them the ones they don't bother. Them the ones they just don't bother.
Well,
So they feel like they crazy.
well,
You know what I'm saying?
but the truth of the matter is
Yeah.
that, you know, sometimes that kind of situation are the ones that cause death. Where, you know, when a guy know that he has to come home and it's not going to be him just beating this woman and that she's going to try to hurt him back. Well, in a lot of cases, I'm sure that, you know, those kind of relationships result in someone being killed.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, it could be either or. It could be either or. Even I understand what you're saying,
One thing
Glenn.
about it is, because one thing about it is, when a man, I totally don't agree with a man putting his hands on a woman, and I don't agree with a woman putting her hands on a man. But I do believe in. I'm gonna tell you what I do believe in. I believe if that woman puts her hands on that man, he got a right to put his hands on her, and that's why we don't do it. That's why we don't supposed to do it. Because I seen a woman just totally, because she was upset, just
Beating on the man.
kept hitting on this man, and his man, after he got tired of her hitting on him, he backslapped her. You know what I'm saying? But to
And
me,
it happens. It happens. It happens.
hands on the man, and then I ain't got to worry about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to what Glenn said earlier,
You
you know,
gotta keep
not
those
everybody
things
that
up.
witnesses.
And we do, as black women, got the mouth. We do.
Right. So,
Okay.
right.
So
go
to
ahead.
Go
Glenn's
ahead,
point,
Lynn.
and I'll come back around to the caller's comment as well. So to Glenn's point, not everybody that witnesses domestic violence, especially men, are going to become abusers. Some become, you know, extremely loving, faithful husbands, partners, because they said, you know what, I saw my mom or my family go through that, and I never want to become like that.
Right.
And so again, this isn't a one size fits all. Then you have some women who go through it and see it, and they become the abuser.
Yeah.
That is true.
To the caller,
Mm-hmm.
yep, and then to the caller's point about these situations that arise, um, you know, I've seen it happen growing up. I've seen the abuse reciprocated because my mom couldn't take it at one point, then my father couldn't take it, and it was all this back and forth, back and forth. And I said to myself one day, I don't want to have a relationship like that. If I can't come home to peace, then I'd rather just go, you know, to a person that's peaceful, then I'd rather just go home, you know, to a home, you know, to an empty home, you know, where it's just me,
Right.
myself, and I. And because there's long-term effects to domestic violence, to coming home where you
Exactly.
can't rest, you can't relax with your partner, with your children, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sleeplessness, overeating, undereating,
Yes.
suicide,
Yes.
depression,
Yes. Yes. All
addiction,
that.
financial issues, psychological issues. I mean, even though, as Glenn mentioned, there are couples that stay together and endure this, but then if you really dig down deep, are those couples healthy? Are their mind, body, spirits healthy? And then when we start digging down deep, then that's when that onion, the layers of that onion start to
Start to feel.
begin to peel,
Right.
But
and we
you
start
know,
Well,
to see really
go ahead.
let me hear from Mrs. Let me hear from Star Tingle.
absolutely.
Miss Tingle.
Hello, everyone. Hi. I personally, I'm enjoying this right now. This is my first time, but I have personally have not been abused,
I
thank
can
God. But
confirm.
I have seen my mother, being abused over and over and over again, to the point where when I call the cops or anything like that, I get blamed or ridiculed because I shouldn't have stepped in. So,
Mhm.
seeing that growing up, and I was one of those kids that would never happen to me. And I was a fighter back then, so I wouldn't even go through that. But the thing is, with my daughter, my 18-year-old daughter, she's moved out my home and moved in with a 19-year-old that's a little further down the road, probably like 6 hours from myself. And I come to find out that she's getting hit on. But she's saying that oh, mom, he just pushed me. I hit him back. He was restraining me. He pushed me. This was over and over again. So I went to her. This is just happened the past Saturday, and I went there. And of course, being a mother, I'm highly upset.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'm thinking of is kicking his behind, So
Exactly.
I did, do a little to him, a little property of, of his glasses and everything. But I stopped because, I'm like, okay, he's violent towards her. She's taking it, and she never seen me get abused. But I'm mad because, he's hitting my daughter, but I'm putting violence. I'm doing the same thing, so I'm not showing her anything different.
Right.
So I'm just trying to figure out what I can do because she's 18, so I personally can't take her and bring her home because she's legally 18. She's grown, but I don't know what to do as a mother to stop what if it gets worse the next time or something happens. But I'm trying to figure out, because my daughter, like,
But it's hard for
where's
you
your
to
mind
talk
at?
to her. It's hard for you to get it through her head what you trying to explain to
Yeah.
and what she.
And she's saying, "Oh, mom, he loves me. He loves." It's just continuously because I love him and he loves me, and we're gonna work it out. And I'm like, "Okay, you're 18. Come on now, get it together."
Mm-hmm.
So my hands are tied because it's either hurt him bad, or
Right.
or don't have, So I don't know what to do in my situation.
So it's more like a family. In a way, it's like a family domestic result. Is that right, Twilyn? Or how would you?
And you know what it is
Yeah,
too.
in
is
this case, she
Betty,
needs to.
gotta let them go through
I hear
whatever they
someone
going
talking.
through.
okay, wait a minute. Hold on, caller. Miss Lynn, what?
This is the caller. Because the one thing about it is the kids these days are hard headed. They don't listen.
Right.
And they think they're growner than you is and know more than you. So you
Exactly.
have to let them go through whatever they're going through and hope that they come out right. Because if you was to take her away or try to take her away from that, she would go closer to him. You wouldn't,
Yes.
they'll never listen. So you gotta let them go
Yes.
through what they're going through, and when she gets tired of it, she'll leave.
Right, but but like I said, I know you don't want to see your child in a domestic violent relationship like that. But Miss Twilyn, hold on one second, Miss Lynn, what were you
I'm here.
saying in regards to that?
Well, she needs to speak with someone other than you as her mother. She needs to speak with a survivor, such as myself, that has been through this, because even if she doesn't get it the first time, the fact that the conversation has to come from somebody that has been through, nearly lost their life, and has worked with family members who have lost their loved ones to this.
Yes.
This is a very, very serious issue. And so long as she has breath in her body and you have breath in your body, you have to put as many resources and people that have been through this in front of her to help strengthen her, because right now she is weak
Yes.
and she needs people that can support her in this to you. And it's strange because often children don't want to listen to their parents. It doesn't matter what age they are,
No,
especially
they don't.
here in the United States. They don't. They just don't have a respect for parents.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mhm.
I'll be happy to talk with her and to show her some real life cases of other, especially Black women that have lost their lives, that I know their families personally that are going through the pain. And at the end of the day, she still decides she wants to proceed. We've At least we can say that we've done our job to warn her and give her the tools necessary, and to always leave the door open for her. Whenever you need help, we are not going to close the door, and we're going to give you
Right.
numbers that you can call. So even if you feel too embarrassed to call us or to
Mm-hmm.
call me as your mom, this is a number that you can call. But we can't let her slip through the cracks. Number one, when I went through my domestic abuse relationship, I was 19. It took me 3 years to get out of that relationship, but I almost lost my life twice. It
Yeah.
could have very well become fatal. and I did not have any support, and I did not have anybody in front of me to say, hey, I am a survivor. I've been through this. You don't want to go down this path. The other thing, too, is your daughter needs to find something that can empower and preoccupy her until she can completely mentally, emotionally, and spiritually break away from this man. Because I tell people this all the time, that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So she's got
Yes.
to be able to face that where this man is occupying right now with other things that are going to make her feel good about herself. She can stand on top of the world.
Yeah. But see, at that age, when they just getting into a relationship with someone and they new and fresh to it, it's hard to tell. They don't want to leave. They want to be
Right.
there. You know what I'm saying? They want to be there because see, this is something new for them, and it's nothing that the parents could actually tell them.
Well,
It's like,
that's why she was saying that, sometimes it needs to be a third party brought to the table, because kids are going to be rebellious against us as parents,
mhm,
in one form or another. But sometimes they have that person to speak to that they feel is not judging them, or the personal thing is taken out of it because either they don't want the mother to know their business and know what they're really into. That
mhm,
third party person, like a professional, or someone like a survivor, like Lynn, who has been through it, they may be able to reach them a little faster than us as parents. Is that correct?
Right.
That's correct. And the other thing too is we don't want to take away the options that the victim or survivor has. We want them to know that at the end of the day, it is still their choice. But the truth is, when we talk about relationships that we're unable to break away from,
mhm.
when there are those strongholds, there is a strong emotional and sexual attachment to the individual. So being able to help walk that victim through what they are feeling and what they're going through is extremely, extremely important.
Right.
And so, you know, of course, at the end of the day, it's always going to be her choice, but we have to give her as many end results to look at as well, in this process. Because again, I've worked with the families. I've been there, almost lost my life, and I've worked with the families who didn't have the kind of support that we're talking about tonight. They didn't have an advocate that was in their corner. They were
Mhm.
sitting there fighting this by themselves, and it ended up deadly. So part of the problem that we have as a society is we still want to treat these issues as a private family matter. But as the caller mentioned, when you can stand up to that abuser, then they get scared. When they see that people are actually standing up, then
Mhm.
they cower down. They literally cower down. The problem is not many of us are standing up, and that's a part of the big problem as to why they continue to perpetrate this abuse. I have to plug in my phone. Hold on.
Okay. So, um, Star. Okay. Even though I know you're going through this as for your daughter. You know what I'm saying? It's and believe me, I've known so many people who's been in the same situation you're in because they're young and they don't know, but they not trying to understand you as a parent, but they feel like they grown and they know, but they still want to stay in
Right.
that relationship. So it's so hard to go and try to protect her, and then she run back to the same thing.
Yes, and that's what happened. But what I didn't understand, because the guy, she only known him for like 2 3 months.
Ooh, that
She
sounds
was
familiar.
like, "This is not down the street. This is like 6 hours away from me." So
Yeah.
I'm riding all the way there. That was a ride, to go there and to, because she was crying, and everything, ready to come home. She broke her phone, all kinds of stuff that I don't even know that happened, that she's not telling me.
Right.
And she did fight back. But I mean, the point is, you're there 2 months, you moved, Queensland, And I'm like, come home, because this is too far. Nobody, she has no family or anything, so nobody knows. Something happens, then what? So you say, Miss Lynn, you're saying the resources, on in front of her or whatever, because it was a carload of us went down there. Because I'm a mother, so I'm gonna protect my daughter regardless by any means.
Right.
I'm saying with the resources, I don't know how I can provide resources for her if she's lived so far away, 6 hours away.
Well, I think one of the places we could start is definitely get her on video. We can do exactly what we're doing tonight, get her on video and talk with her. Um, this
Unless
could
she
be
can
a
talk to
simple-
you personally, you know what I'm saying?
right,
Right,
right.
because I don't think she would get on here.
Yeah, she probably
Yeah,
don't want to get on
not,
video and
not online, not in a live broadcast, but either on video or over the phone to talk
oh,
with her.
speaking to you face to face.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
number
Oh.
one. Again, because this is a psychological issue, domestic violence and why victim stays a psychological issue. We also have to remember too that for whatever reason, this guy, as twisted as he is and as dysfunctional as he is giving her something that she feels she is missing right now.
Yeah,
He
you
is
sure
giving
is.
her something that she wants. Time
You want me to tell
it's
you what that
attention.
is?
What is it, Glenn?
The whip appeal.
Yeah, that's that.
The
I'm
whip
sure
appeal.
that's what it is.
Yeah,
That I'm sure that's what it is. That's what
yeah.
keep a girl with a
And,
guy.
and the thing is that men do it all the time. They put on that game and oh, I love you, and you're so good
Manipulate. They do a lot of that.
to me.
Well,
Yeah.
is it really manipulation
Manipulation,
as much as it is
and that's a
an
form of
experience?
mental abuse.
See, when a young girl,
It's an experience for her because she's new to it. This guy, he's 19. He probably done did it plenty of times. What I'm saying is he knows how to manipulate. I'm pretty sure he knows how to manipulate her in some type of a way.
well, he may not.
Anger management.
He may just know what to do to her sexually.
Well, that too. That too. I mean, you know,
That
it all
too
plays a
is,
part in it, I think.
Yeah, he may not be
and
manipulated.
the other thing too is,
Go ahead, Lynn.
your daughter has to be strong enough to not buy into it, to not feed into it. And that comes with mentoring, that does come with heartbreak. But our goal tonight is to save her from this individual, to give her as much information as possible, to listen to her, to be empathetic, and to walk her through this process until she can finally become mentally strong enough to say, you know what, I can get somebody else to call me pretty, or I can get somebody else to take me out that's not going to treat me this way. And she's got to feel empowered enough to say, you know what, I can stand on top of the world without this dude or the next dude or any other dude.
Right. And I get that. But I'm feeling too, yeah, she has to have that confidence in herself.
What happens? Yeah, another call was coming in. I had to decline that. But what happens to the victim is they have to feel strong enough to stand on their own. When I left my abusive relationship years ago, I got to the point where I felt strong enough and I was tired. But the other thing too is I didn't have anybody in my corner to
Right.
walk me through it. So it took me 3 years. It took me 3 years. And so, it's kind of like those TV shows, like Intervention. You have the expert come in that's highly recognized. And that's what she needs right now. She needs an intervention.
Yes.
Because she's not gonna listen. She's not gonna listen to mom. That's for sure. It's like in one ear and out the other ear.
Well,
But see, if she get to that point to where she wants to go, she wants to leave, but she can't leave. If she think about how to work him and make him feel like she ain't going nowhere, and when the moment he leaves, she's up and out of there and don't come back. That's her best bet. That's getting away freely without all the fighting and all that other commotion. There's ways
Yeah,
to
once
get
she,
out,
yeah,
but
once she
that's if you
she
want to get out.
cannot turn exactly, and we'll help her put together a safety plan, all of that. But once she leaves, she cannot, under any circumstance, act.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
One
So
of the
I
things,
don't like. I hopefully that will work. Far as the intervention, or if she can call you and talk or whatnot. Because I'm not sure how far you are. I
right.
wish it could be face to face, but she needs someone like a reality of that. But I think it's not. I'm not saying, because I don't know. Independence. This is her first time being, out on her own, and experiencing things. So it's her independence, because if she come back home, of course, there's rules and guidelines. So I think the main reason why she's holding on is because she has more independence. She feels she grown, can do what she can, wants to do until she gets to that wall.
Yeah, that's how they
And
all feel.
wintertime is coming. It's coming, so it's a little hard. So I'm waiting, but in the
That's all of
meantime,
them.
Well, have you tried to befriend the young man in any kind of way, Star?
no.
No. So you don't care for him at all?
Be honest with you, that was the first time I met him. I did, like I said, she only known him for 2 months. Told her something in her ear, I guess, that he could take care of her. She left, and that was the first time I met him. But I didn't have any conversation for him.
Yes.
Is he
Yeah.
able to financially take care of her for real, or is that just something that she believes?
No.
It's just something she believes.
Star, is the young man able to take care of her financially for real, or is that just something?
No, they're staying in the 6 people with I think 6 people in the house. No car. She has no phone now. She just got a little job, but she's feeding the whole house. Just infested, different things like that. And I told her she don't have she never came from that. So why is she living like that? So
Right.
that's
But it's
something
coming
I
from
missed
you.
as a mother.
Well, maybe that's the fascination. Is she a single child?
No, she has a brother.
As a brother. Well, a lot of time, oftentimes I've found in my life that when a kid comes from a small family and they somehow go and fit into someone else's larger family, it's kind of like an adventure to them. And yeah, I can remember when I first started staying out all night, and my parents provided me with a clean environment in terms of, cleanliness and those kind of things. But I was so crazy, I would go sleep over these folks' house and they had roaches everywhere. But I enjoyed being around their family because they had all these family members and it seemed like they had this family camaraderie. And I started messing around with this girl who was my friend's sister, who I didn't like in the least bit, but it was something for me to do while I was there. You know what I'm saying? So maybe she's just infatuated with being in an environment where she thinks something is really going on and it's always some fun.
Well, you can get fun mixed up
Fun
with
and when reality comes. When reality comes.
yeah.
The phone when it gets cold and you can't walk and it's snowing, yeah.
Right. When you ain't got no way to get where you need to go, but you living with this man. I mean, a lot of stuff gonna come to your mind, and a lot of stuff going she's gonna. It's a lot of things she'll have to recognize and realize. It's just right now she's not even in that mode right now. She's in a whole different mode right now.
Can you all remember back when you were 18?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you all remember having some young boy that wasn't worth a damn?
Hell yeah, I had a whole bunch of them. How many you? Which one you want me to name?
Well, And this is not to make an excuse for a guy being abusive because it just shouldn't be done. But
Yes.
you have to
Right.
think back to when you were 18 and some guy swept you off your feet, or so you thought, and you didn't want to hear nothing that your parents had to say. I see you smiling, Star.
Because you have other listeners. They're giving you the thumbs up over here. So.
No, because as parents, we tend to, as we start to age and get wisdom, we start to think that everything sounds so stupid to us, but it's the same shit that we did.
Same stuff. I believe that.
And you know what? And Glenn, you're absolutely right. But
Hmm.
the question and the concern here in this situation is, God forbid that this be the exception to the rule, actually have the ability to and commit murder or
Absolutely.
injure her in
No, no,
such a way.
no, I'm not making light of that at all, Lynn,
I
because
know,
we living in a
I
different
know,
time. And
Yeah.
but
that's
I
a,
just have to put it out there because, you
yeah,
know,
it's your job.
again, we've all gone, like you said, through some, some situations similar where, we come from a better standard of living, and then we hang out with, the crusty,
Hmm.
you know, scrubs, whatever. But
Right.
But we don't
um,
have the sense enough to understand that we come from a better standard of life.
right, and the issue is always, you never know when you're going to meet that one person that's going to be the exception to the rule. So that's why we definitely need to, I'm happy to talk with your daughter, like I said, over video or over the phone,
Can you give out your
really.
information, Lynn, and let her
Yes.
know who you with and everything?
Absolutely. So my program is called Lasers, Leaving Abuse, Supporting Everyone, Restoring Survivors. The website is www.wealasers.org. And the number is 202-630-0463. Again, 202-630-0463.
Well, Lynn, I have a question for you. And this is
Yes.
something that I found out, I guess, in the past 10 years or so about myself coming from an abusive home. It never affected me to the point where I wanted to abuse women. And I'm proud of
Good.
that. And
Hmm.
it taught me to be a great father. But what I've learned about myself is that it has affected me and I didn't know it. Um, it affected me to the point where when I see other guys abusing women, I have a real problem with it.
Hmm.
No
And it's kind of
tolerance.
like, although sometimes I honestly want to walk away and say, that's not my business, mind your own business, it's kind of hard for me to do it. And I put myself in situations um, with dealing with that when it's somebody else, some man abusing some other woman. And I've actually gotten myself into some problems over these kind of issues. And I think that, well, I don't think, I know that it comes from seeing my father beat my mother as a child. I didn't know it until, like I said, later on in life. So guys who are having that problem, such as myself, do you have any advice for men like myself, or men who are dealing with similar subjects?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Glenn? Thank you for being so transparent and open, because the truth is what you're going through is uh, triggers stemming from the trauma of having seen that abuse growing up. If you didn't get upset or angry, that would actually mean there was something wrong, because um, really that would mean that you didn't see anything wrong with what was happening. I think the next step would be to, to journal, perhaps also, talk with, or to kind of work out some of those issues. Because as you said, when you see that happening, you probably feel a sense of rage, and you want to really like handle business and take care of that guy abusing that woman. And so just ensuring, in other words, self self-care, ensuring that in your mind and your heart you are can find some healing with some of the traumatic experiences that you've experienced in your past. That's number one, because I always say self first.
Right.
When you find a man or woman that is being abusive and you feel the need to address that issue, you can address it, but don't take it personal. In other words, don't put yourself in harm's way. Um, you can't call the police. You can't say, hey, if you don't stop what you're doing, I'm going to call the police, and just go ahead and call the police.
That'll
You
never
know,
happen, Lynn.
you
It's
know,
just,
but
and I'm not saying that you're not giving out the correct information. I'm just saying,
For
guys that
you.
come from where I come from, the last thing in the world that would happen is for, it's almost, even that's a sickness with where I come from. I've never called the police in my life. I just wouldn't feel good about doing it. So I have to figure out another way to deal with things. I'm getting better now as I get older, but
mhm,
I have accepted that it had a profound effect on my life. And
right,
and it had
absolutely.
and it in a good way and in a bad way. In one way it
Mhm,
taught me to be a hell of a father, but in the
Hmm.
other way, it made me very violent uh in those kind of surroundings. If I'm put in those kind of positions, I become very dangerous. And I
If
don't
you see somebody else hurting somebody else.
well hurting a woman. I
A
can
woman.
see two guys beat the shit out of each other and have not,
Right.
but I guess it's like a trigger back to my childhood.
Right.
exactly. Yeah, and so that is something that you will want to address so that you don't feel the rage, to the point that it's uncontrollable, or you do put yourself in harm's way. Um, but what I will say is, do- we do have to be willing, as a community, to call for help.
Well, I'm gonna
Um,
come by your house so you can
again,
talk to me.
okay, quite a long ways, brother man, but I'm making my way up to Detroit pretty soon, though. Detroit, yeah.
Hey, but let me ask
So,
you this before you get off here into something else. What kind of legal service can you give to those that are being abused?
okay, so I don't provide legal services because I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
However, I do refer survivors, victims, their family members to advocacy organizations that offer legal services. And
Hmm.
so, what I would recommend is, for example, if you know of somebody facing abuse,
Hmm.
don't hesitate to give them the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which can refer them to organizations within their state, within their community, that can provide either shelter or legal assistance, or help them create a safety plan.
Okay.
Um,
So do you charge like do they charge you if you need spousal abuse help? Is there a charge for that?
no, those services are free. Now, the only
Okay.
time you would have to pay for a service like that
Hmm.
is if you go to a counselor, like a therapist or a psychologist. But to go to a domestic violence advocacy organization, those services typically don't cost anything, or if they do, they're based off of a sliding fee schedule.
Okay.
Mm.
And one more question for you. You know, I know some women don't like the weapons. They don't like guns, and I feel the way the world and society is right now. Sometimes you may have to handle one. You have to keep one in your possession, in your home.
Mhm.
So, in regards to getting like a CCW or a registered weapon, is there any way uh, uh, to where I mean, it's not a low cost and it's not a high cost, but it's a cost period to get to retrieve a CCW. But is there any? other way to um, obtain your license without having to pay a higher cost. I'm really, or is that the only way? You just got to go through the CCW and registration and all that kind of stuff to get your registered weapon.
So you want to
Yeah,
shoot
so you
something?
have to follow
Hey,
your
if you
state
have
laws.
to.
Yeah, you have to follow your state laws. Whatever state laws are applicable, you have to follow those state laws in order to get your concealed weapon. Um, you know, there's no, if I understand your question correctly, because I got interrupted by another call, um,
Okay.
there's no accelerated process if you're a victim of domestic violence.
Hmm.
The best thing to do is to put together, work with an advocate, a domestic violence advocate, to help you put together a safety plan.
That would call
And
them.
again,
Oh,
you can
okay.
get the information. Is there a caller
Yeah,
on
Let's
the
take
line?
caller.
her.
What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Denise, and I'm calling from Detroit, Michigan.
Hello, Denise. You have a question?
Hi, Denise.
Yes, I have
Hi,
a question.
Denise.
I been married for like 24 years, and now I'm trying to get a divorce from my husband. I don't have the funding right now, but he's been like violent. He hasn't hit me or nothing, but he keeps threatening. So,
Mm.
I've called the police a few times, and all they keep telling me is you can't. I can't get a PPO. They can't make him stop coming here because we're still married and it's his address. But because he hasn't put his hands on me, since I don't have black eyes or bloody mouth and stuff like that, they said there's really nothing they can do. Like I took his key, and he comes in through the window, and I called the police, and he took my phone, and they said, well, if that's the way he want to come in the window, it's okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so it sounds like your law enforcement agency needs some training.
Yeah.
Sounds like they
Yes.
don't,
Yes.
those officers don't understand what resources are available. That's very disappointing to hear. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the number to the National Domestic Violence Hotline,
They
and
said
they
the only
can.
way we can start helping
Hey,
you
girl.
is you got to move. And when you move, he can't
Okay,
come to your new
but
house. But
but
so I
sis, and
told
we're
him,
running out of time. So this is what I'm going to do. If you can tell the caller.
Wait a minute, Lynn. She was saying something else. Caller, go ahead. Say it again. She can hear you.
She on the phone.
Caller.
yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Could you repeat what you just said about if you moved?
Oh, no, one of the times the police came here, and I said, now when he does get crazy and kill me, then what's going to happen? I said, so you guys telling me that the only way you can help me if I move. They told me the only way they can help me if I move. So I said, he can come to our home now and kill me, but he can't come to my new address and kill me. And they said, well, we can stop him from coming to your new house if you move because he never lived there. But since he lived here,
I don't have
this
to put
is
you
his
in.
address, y'all still married, and because he hasn't beat my ass and stuff like that, it's really nothing they can do.
Well, caller one. Here's.
Okay, so let me go ahead and just say, let me go ahead and say this.
Mhm.
If you believe that he's going to kill you, and it sounds like you do believe he's going to hurt you, he's got the signs. Move. This man knows where you are. Pain,
The
betrayal,
phone keeps going in and out,
to
but I hear some parts.
She said.
Well,
Oh, she said your phone keep going in and out.
but so
Hold on.
here's my advice. You need to move. Don't stay in a place where this man already knows where you're at. He's already displaying some very, very deadly behaviors. And I know it's a pain in the butt to move, but you have to flip that. He knows where you are already. He knows every part of that house. Hiding place for you. The best thing
Yeah.
for you to do is to move. to work with an advocacy organization that can help you create safety plans.
Okay.
People like that in your corner, they can help you go through every information that you may not think about in order to stay
Mhm.
safe. You've got to get away from this guy
Yeah.
into a place where he doesn't know where you're at.
Right.
If you
Well,
don't contact me
you know what?
after this call, I'm going to give you the number to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Number is 1 800
1-800 799
7233.
7233, caller. And caller, here's a bit of information that I could share with you also, because law
Could
enforcement
you
is.
repeat that for me, please?
Can you repeat the number one more time, Lynn?
Sure, it's 1 800 799 33. And you can call me after the
What's the last four digits, Lynn?
7233.
7233.
7233. Caller, you could also do this, since law enforcement is telling you they can't do nothing because he's your husband.
Mm-hmm.
There is a such thing as a legal separation. If you can't afford a divorce, you can go to the city county building and you can get a legal separation,
Uh-huh.
and then you will be able to get a PPO.
Right. Okay.
But thank you for listening, and thank you for calling, and we wish you luck.
Thank you.
And
Yes, and if there's anything else that you may need, just give Miss Lynn a call, and she will be more than welcome to help you.
Thank you.
Yep,
all right,
absolutely. You're
thanks for
welcome.
calling. Good luck to you,
Okay.
honey.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye. Yes, so that's you know that's a lot to deal with, honestly. Who we is there any programs for women that need some kind of defense classes or anything? Do y'all handle any of that, or you know what I'm saying? To help protect yourselves. Okay, to help protect yourselves.
There are tons of self-defense classes available out there. The best suggestion I have for anybody watching this program is just to type in women's self-defense or women's domestic violence self-defense in Google, and there'll be um, probably tons of resources to come up, training programs they can get involved in.
Okay, okay, beautiful. Well, that is it for today. I appreciate everybody logging in today live. It was a very progressive topic today. Very serious, and I really feel for everyone that's going through these abusive situations. If there's any need to to if there's anybody that needs any type of help like that, they can always get in contact with whom, Lynn? Let them know that again, please.
Yep, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, that's 1 800 799, I believe 7233. 1 800 799 33.
Okay. Well, we're here every Tuesday. And if you would like to sponsor your business, contact us or email www.ventradio.net, which is the place to be on the internet. Or you can give us a call on our business contact number 218-506-8368. Again, I am so glad you guys have come on to the line, come on live, and I want you to have a blessed night, and we'll see you next Tuesday. This is Miss Wet Cat signing off. I'll holler at y'all later. Thank you.
We're gonna play a piece from this short that I found called "Dear John," and this is a domestic violence piece.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
I want to scream. top of my lungs that I hate you. Not just hate,
Glenn,
burning, passionate hate.
I'm here.
Glenn.
I had loved you.
No, is it Glenn with the G?
It's Glenn with the
Oh.
G.
You were my entire being.
Oh, wait a minute.
I carried you. And even when I told you, you gave me some excuse. I would have been there if you needed me. I love you. I'm sorry. You're everything to me. Lies. Because of this, I was damaged to say the least. I tried to hide my shattered heart, only looking at the pieces in the dark of night, hiding my tears in painted silence, refusing to let anyone lend a helping hand, all because of you. Seems like the world mocks my heart with the love in the air and all around me, watching others engage in something I thought I had. Well, I did have, but only on my side of the road. I had it alone. Now, I don't fault you for anything because you know what? I knew that you never loved me. I knew it was all lies. Thought I saw something in your eyes all the way to your soul that wanted you to love me, and maybe that's what I held on to. I have let this plague me for far too long. I couldn't, no, wouldn't allow others to give me hope of love in my little world. I never asked for much, just for the truth, even if it hurt. But you continue to lie even to this very second. So why fool myself? I've said over and over again that I'm completely done with you. But this time, I completely mean it. You are no longer a thought, the beat of my heart, or the reason for my tears. It will take some time, but with the help of someone, I will be better. Thanks to someone close to me, I have realized this, and I will forever be in his debt for reminding me of my worth. As for you, I thank you for teaching me a valuable lesson. Thank you for showing me what I do not and will not tolerate in my life. My potential to be the love of someone's life, and that I don't need you. You came to me asking for another chance because you knew I'd give 100 more. And in the next second, you disappear. Well, this time, continue that disappearing act. I found clear air to breathe, and in my misery, I'm actually happy. There's someone waiting to love me, and I'm going to give him that chance. I'm going to be ready. I'm going to let go. You ought to see me now with the sun in my smile and the stars behind my eyes. One small step for me. Thank you, Jane Doe.
That's beautiful.
Thank you for listening, everybody. This is the Love, Sex, and War Show with your host, Miss Wetcat. We'd like to thank our guests and our callers, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yes.
Good night.
Yeah.